Facebook Live. This is our work session for our meeting of April the 16th. This is our preparation, and in it we have a presentation for the parks activities that are going on. SFC, Brandon Doherty is going to provide us, he's got a PowerPoint for us to look at. He's going to give us an update of what's going on, what's been going on, what's going to go on. So I'm kind of excited for us to see these numbers and see all our activities. So I'll leave it to you, Brandon. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mary. Welcome board. Thank you for having me. A little bit of what we're going to go through. I have an agenda here, but I want to start with the pickleball. So pickleball has been fantastic. We had a ribbon cutting on the 26th of March, and I really want to say thanks to the engineering department and Steven for all their hard work and Alden Love for his work. It was a great event, and I have to say that you create facilities that create impacts. That pickleball court is busy every single day. That court is impacting our community in a really positive way. So thanks for that, and thanks to all the pickleball people too. They've been really great on supporting it. The Needmore Center is the next big construction project that we have going on. So right now we're starting to get the external pieces of it completed. We've got the FF&E, the fixtures and stuff ordered, and we're working on the mural. So the mural was going to have a meeting yesterday. Weather was a little rough, so we moved that meeting to Monday. It will be at the George Evans basketball court from 2 to 4. And we encourage everybody to come out and take a look and provide some feedback of what this mural is going to look like. The artist will be there. She'll be collecting a bunch of information, sketching out some designs, and then we'll be bringing those designs back. The good news is that project is looking to be completed sometime in late July. So.
And you said 2 to 4 on Monday, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and the artist is going to be there. Deborah Mansfield's going to be there?
She will be.
Okay.
Yep, we'll have some tents and snacks and some.
Okay.
While that project's going on, we're also working on the George Evans Park, looking to redo the courts, the nets, the hoops, and do some beautification. That is planned to be also completed sometime right around the time the Needmore Center is also completed. So that park will have a nice little facelift to work through the end of the summer. JOP Park. Right now, we have a light switch on the lights, which will be coming out there, which is Musco. We have the splash pad that's going to start construction on April 22nd. It's a 210-day contract. That does mean that that area will be closed off for the majority of the summer. And as we know, there is a culvert situation out there that is also going to be addressed basically immediately after that project. So that area is going to see quite a bit of construction, but it's also going to be beautiful when it's done. It's going to have an extra pavilion, larger splash pad, and a nice entranceway. So
We're going to wall it off, so to speak, or put orange tape around the areas that we don't want people going near, but they're still going to have access to the splash pad and the playground, right?
Well, they'll have they'll have access to the playground area. Mm-hmm. It will be up to the construction and where they're doing what. Other areas may be roped off. I can't say for sure that the other portion of the splash pad will be available. I doubt it, because we'll be working on pipes and concrete and stuff. So.
Okay, well, let's see.
We're resurfacing that existing, we're painting that, and we're actually painting that bathroom building as well. So there's going to be other work that goes on with the existing stuff.
Okay, so if it's going to be off limits for the summer, then we need to make sure we put that word out there and tell everybody why. So we need to really be very...
We'll start a campaign starting in Monday.
Okay, all right, let's just make sure everybody understands. I mean, generally, if you communicate, people won't be too upset about things, so let's make sure we communicate that out.
Yep.
Also, from the culvert standpoint, we've already communicated with the disc golf people, because I know that was a couple of holes of disc golf.
Yep.
But other than that, what else is in?
Reach out to the jail team center and talk to them briefly, just to let them know that there's some stuff coming that could affect them.
Okay.
Sidewalk and parking. I said once we get some more information that we would revisit with them to kind of really understand how it's going to impact them.
Okay, we probably also need to communicate with our guys who gather regularly down at the pavilion, so they'll know what's going on. There's,
Oh, absolutely.
all right, good deal.
I've already passed.
Okay, let's just,
I didn't like them on it already.
okay, good. Well, they may not know the extent of it, because I didn't realize it's going to be,
It's pretty extensive.
yeah, and pretty much all summer.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
I got it from Steven. Steven had told me about it. So I
Okay.
passed it on.
Good deal. All right, thank you.
I'm really excited about that project. I think it's going to be really, really, really nice when it's finished.
Yeah, it's gonna be very beautiful, and I think, you're doubling in size and creating a bigger opportunity. I think you're gonna see a lot of people, especially in that community, come out and use it. As we grow that park, it's just a very desirable location.
Is there any way for us to know, do we have any idea how many folks use it? Because there is no check-in associated with it. Have we got any way to monitor that at all?
We don't have any, like, true counters
Yeah.
come in that. The only way we would do it is probably if we took some footage off the police cams and count people.
Yeah,
Outside of that,
yeah. It's just be nice to know, to validate how much people are using it, because I think they are, a whole bunch.
yeah, they do.
Bunch.
Yeah, I see a lot of people when I go by, but, you just don't know till you sit there and I guess do a counter one day or something.
Start about 8 o'clock in the morning or something.
Yeah, when that heat kicks in, yeah, people are out there playing, so, okay, all right, thanks.
Travis Softball Center, the gym wall is supposed to start construction this next week. They have actually been in there yesterday and today. And then we are in the process of getting the curtain put up. There has to be some electrical conduits put in, suppression moved, and during that, there'll be intermittent time for that gym will be off limits, but generally, it looks like we're not gonna have to close it, which is good. And we are hoping to close this project out by May 14th.
Okay.
So
So the walking track would be available, but not the gym itself? Is that what you're saying?
The gym itself will not, the walking trail may be available depending on where they're at with conduit and electrical
Okay.
stuff. And as that goes on, we'll put notifications out that, hey, it's open right now.
Okay,
So we've been working with them a lot this week.
Okay.
To figure out exactly what's that look like.
well, this may be an opportunity, depending on the Starkville alerts, depending on how that goes, it may be an opportunity to put some of that stuff out, Joel. Okay.
We should do that. McKee is the next big one that is going to be advertised. This is, the engineers have been working on this, but we're looking at this project to be advertised in May, awarded sometime around June, and then start in August. That does mean that that entire side of the McKee Park will be off limits during that time, and then hopefully it will be finished in summer of '25. Again, we're talking splash pads, playgrounds, dog park, walking trails, parking lot, entrance. So it's going to be pretty nice, and it's going to be a great complement to the pickleball.
Pretty much a total transformation.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty popular park.
Back to the pickleball comment, I have had more people come to me and talk about how wonderful pickleball courts are. From the university folks to people in Columbus to just, everybody's coming over here. Yeah.
And as somebody who lives near there, there are people there every day and all day long, morning, later in the afternoon, evening, they're there.
So the only thing, what we are taking away from them will be parking. They've been using parking on the west side.
That is correct.
That will go away, so they're gonna have to park.
Yeah, along the main
Yeah.
street for a while, and then there'll probably be some additional, double parking on the side of the grass areas and that.
Okay.
during this, but,
We may
it'll
need
have
to-
an impact, but not a major.
We may need to invest in some more Pardon Our Progress banners or something, so that,
Yeah, we need to know that.
yeah, everybody understands.
But pickleball folks have been absolutely respectful of that facility and keeping it clean and picked up, and so really appreciate that from all of us. We are gearing up for the Moncrief Pool, so we have our hours established for this year. It will be closed on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the reason that it's closed on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Tuesday mornings are swim lessons, Thursday mornings are swim lessons, and we have roughly 6 contracts currently for camps and outside groups to come in and utilize the pool as a private type entity. With camps and kids coming to use the pool, they do not want outside strangers utilizing it, and as we did the data poll from the previous year, these were 2 periods of the week that are our lowest, 2 of the 3 lowest times of the week. So we've contracted them, they're gonna be in there throughout the entire summer, and then we still have prime hours open throughout the entire year.
Is this a single group, is this a regular group of people, like the skating rink people I know used it last year, I think?
Yeah,
Is this?
So groups like that are committed to be there on specific days for specific hours with specific groups. So Boys and Girls Clubs have been included in that. A number of after-school and childcare programs have committed to it. One of the things that we tried to do is some of those neighborhoods or areas that were going to be impacted by the splash pad, we tried to reach out to them and try to get them incorporated into this and give them a bit of an opportunity to have something.
Mhm.
So that's what we're using those funds for.
Okay, but it's still part of the community. I mean, it's just a discrete set of the community.
Yes, yes, it's
Okay.
contracted out actually.
Yep.
They have their own waivers and all that.
Okay.
They're paying a special.
But the Boys and Girls Club is included in that? That's great. Okay.
Yep. We also have, none of the rates went up, none of the rates have changed. We'll have swim lessons again this year, as they kick off in June. But this year, we have two things that are going to be a little different. We have added some additional days that are going to be fun days to try to promote swimming. As you can see, Community Health Day, ice cream, back to school, picnic, can drive, and then of course the special doggy day. These are things that we're promoting the pool so that they can come and use the pool, but we're also giving back to the community to try to encourage that community engagement. So for instance, like the can drive, if you bring a can, you get half off your.
I assume this is a can with food in it as opposed to a recycling can.
Absolutely. No trash.
Okay, just making sure.
So we're trying to do some things to make it special, and then this year, we're trying to bridge into birthday parties. So individuals who are looking to do special parties or selective groups after our normal hours, they'll be able to do that, 30-person max, it'll be $400, and then, but they're gonna have to reserve it at least 2 weeks ahead of time, so that we can make sure it's properly staffed and it's safe. This is something that a lot of people have asked us to do in the past that we haven't been able to do. I think this year we're going to be able to do it, and we're putting our foot in the water per se, and going to give it a go. So,
Okay.
How's the lifeguard recruitment
Good.
this year?
We've got about 90% retaining from last year. So we have almost everything.
And that's different than other communities, as I
Yes.
believe you've told me.
Tupelo did a year-long campaign to try to solicit lifeguards, a year-long, and when they had their big lifeguard application day, they had one person. And they got a water and aquatic center. So they were actually calling us to see what we were doing differently. And again, I think it's just that we've been connected to everybody throughout the entire year, and we gave them a really good experience last year. So the retention is pretty high.
Good deal. Okay.
This will be a good summer for the pool. Sports tourism, so we have a pretty big event calendar. Now, this is just through the fiscal year, as you can see, but we have a lot of things going on. This weekend, I have a slide to show that, but as we move forward, we've got pickleball, martial arts, baseball, softball, soccer. We don't let up at any time, basically through September, and it's really good. So we're gonna, again, all these things are contracted, so it's good.
Yeah, most of those, there are a couple of them that are not Cornerstone, like Jeffrey Simmons Camp is not Cornerstone, for example. So soccer is not Cornerstone, and pickleball is not. But most of the rest of that stuff is Cornerstone, right?
Yeah, anything that would be baseball, softball is Cornerstone. And you'll notice, like on May 4th, we have a Grand Slam baseball game, but we also have the TFC soccer.
Yep.
And then the 4th is also the Wiener Dog race downtown.
Yes.
So again, doing things collectively to just really help this community grow and coordinating with all these different groups.
Well, and I've talked to a couple people who said they've tried to get hotel rooms and have been unable to do so. Surely we can get a hotel out of this. I just can't imagine that somebody doesn't want to come build a hotel and be full all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and I think as long as we continue to do things like this, we're going to absolutely push that demand that it's going to require somebody to take action at some point. So, yep. Now, the big numbers is how does all these events affect the economic impact? So we on the bottom have an economic impact projection. These are the number of teams, spectators, and what we think that impact is going to look like throughout this year. On the top is where we are actually at. So I would say that we're about 18% off compared to where we'd like to be at this point, and that is a correlation directly to 3 tournaments that have been canceled because of lack of participation. But some of that is weather issues and new groups trying to get into the market. Now, I can tell you in the month of April, we will exceed second quarter's numbers just in 1 month. So that's how busy this next 2 quarters are for us. We are going to be in hyperdrive with everything that we do. Even though we're projected at 16, I think that if we do the things we're supposed to do, we'll be nearly closer to 20.
And just to circle back to this coming weekend, this is going to be the largest tournament we've got scheduled, right? The 100-team tournament?
This will be the largest tournament that we've done
Yeah,
since I've been.
okay. So it'll be a real test for
When you said this
Cornerstone.
weekend, you mean this?
I mean, this weekend,
Starting today.
yeah.
And is this the one that has some of the,
Mark Rudd. Yep. Dave Minute.
I'm thinking 14-year-olds?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, is it? Okay, I was thinking, you may be thinking of the Babe Ruth one. That's the one with some of the
No.
older
Babe Ruth has
kids.
14-year-olds
Yeah.
also.
No, but this
Okay.
weekend,
But this one
because
has some of the 14-year-olds. in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
they're,
Playing on
they're,
the big
they're pretty
fields.
geeked about it, thinking that it's gonna be a
Home run.
home run derby, yes.
Okay.
Yellow block, yep. When we look at these numbers, we always compare these numbers to the 1% and the 2%. So as we grow and increase over time, we're utilizing those numbers to correlate it back to this. You can't really pull it apart and say, hey, this has a direct impact, but the correlation is there. You can see over the last 2 to 3 years, the increase in the 1%, 2%, and then when you look at the number of tournaments and activities that we do, you see the growth of that 1%, 2%. This summer, we'll be able to kind of see really the impact that Cornerstone has along with these other tournaments in June and July when those are lower usage months for the community. And then as those numbers come out, we can do a comparison to the previous year to really see how is Cornerstone impacting.
And I was thinking, Brandon, that it was probably gonna take us about 3 years to grow into our max usage, but it's sounding like that window may be shorter, that we may be full bore next year.
Yeah, we are pretty full right now. We've got over 40 tournaments this year. Next year, including some of the soccer, we've got a car show that might be coming. We've got some basketball tournaments that we're doing. We could be in the 50, 55 range next year. And we've definitely missed the crawl part of this exercise. We're directly into walking and running at this point. So with that is really good because I think it's going to test us. But I think the reality is we're going to have some learning curves. But the community supported it. People want to be here. Being in the USA town, small town, helps us.
Yeah.
It's just really good.
Well, that's what it was designed for, was to keep us busy
Oh,
24/7, 365, as close as we can get to that, to have
Yeah.
people in town all the time and
Yeah.
participating.
and
That's
the
cool.
better we do with experiencing customer relations of this, the more people want to come to our events. The more people have been reaching out to us, that hey, can we do these things? And now we have something that we can say yes to. And so that's really helped us.
Cool.
The big one for this summer, just to give you an update, the Babe Ruth event. So this is the Babe Ruth event scheduled. They've got hotels locked in, they've got teams registering. One of the big things they're looking for is they want to see if there's any umpires out there for this community that want to participate. So we'll be doing a campaign to try to help grow that, to get some of our local folks who want to play. We will have 4 to 6 teams chartered in this tournament from our rec league that will be participating. So we are trying to support that, and that's on behalf of Babe Ruth. So we're really moving along, things are going really well. We had a pretty long meeting today, actually, to discuss some of the more details, but it looks like Thursday will be packet pickup days with tournaments on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The high school has been very good about coordinating with us, they're involved. Starkville Academy's involved, they've confirmed that they're gonna be able to support us too. So everybody really is just coming together to make this work. So-
I think that's wonderful, because you got Starkville High School as well as Starkville Academy, as well as the city. I think that's a marvelous partnership.
Everybody's been really flexible and
Yeah.
understanding and helpful, so.
Cool. So we now need to get some folks to step up as umpires. You an umpire? You want to be an umpire? You don't want me called.
Can I
You
tell
can
my-
be an umpire.
Can I tell my umpire story?
You go right ahead.
There's, somebody asked about balls and strike, and the first umpire said, they're balls and strikes, and they're what I call them, what they are. And the second umpire says, there's balls and there's strikes, and I call them as I see them. And the third umpire says, there's balls and there's strikes, and they're nothing until I call them. So we could umpire.
Yeah. So just to show the growth that we've done over this last year, this weekend is probably the pinnacle of what Parks and Rec has been about and where we're striving to get to. This weekend, we've got the Home and Garden Show at the Sportsplex all day. They're out there setting stuff up today. And then on top of that, we've got the 3-day tournament with Grand Slam. And then we have the mural event on Monday. And I know that one of the things that we always get asked is like, hey, what do you guys do, and all those kinds of things, but in the past, we haven't been able to do this. And we haven't been able to do this because we haven't had the support, or we haven't had certain assets to use this. But over the last couple of years, as we've grown, we've got more people, we've had some more opportunities, more sponsorship, more community engagement. We're gonna see a lot more of this happening. So May 4th is another great example of that. This summer, there's a couple different events, like July 4th will be at Cornerstone this year. So if you're in town this weekend, come check these things out.
Yeah, don't go to Cornerstone though, because the parking is a
Oh, yeah.
premium.
So for everybody
Don't
who goes
drive,
to
just
Cornerstone
drive
Park-
through.
Yes, Cornerstone parking this weekend is gonna be really tight, and for those individuals who want to say, hey, what are we doing for parking? We are assessing the parking situation, looking for ways to utilize our areas and grow them. We are actually involved with the engineering department currently to try to figure that out, but that's not gonna be an overnight repair of that situation. So, but we are working on the parking.
And so how's the rec ball going?
Rec ball is fantastic. I can let a parent actually talk about their experience.
It is going fantastic. Yeah, we've had a great experience out there and they're really enjoying it.
Okay, good.
Right.
Ingress, egress better than,
Super easy, yeah, it's been
Okay.
great and the staff been wonderful out there and it's just been a great experience overall.
okay. Well, good to know, and you're not at all biased.
That's right.
And just to prove how Cornerstone makes an impact, if we would have had this week last year with the old fields, we would have canceled our day.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have this tournament this weekend. So the funds that we had cleared up enough for those fields dry that we can still participate and play. So the fields in decent shape.
We're in perfect shape.
Yep.
So we played Monday and Tuesday of this week and between the rainstorms.
Yeah.
And it's perfect.
Yep. So it was a great investment, well constructed for that field stuff, and yeah, it's a business.
Yeah, that's great. We ought to be real pleased, because that was one of the things that we listened to the community about, and they were willing to spend the money, so it should pay off over the years.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
that's awesome.
And then I have any questions that you guys might have for me, I'd love to field them and answer them.
Any questions? Any other questions?
What about the entrance on is it Bluefield?
Yeah,
Is
that was what I was asking about, ingress and egress issues.
Have we opened?
Mhm.
It's exit
Yeah.
only though.
It's exit only.
So it is an exit only out of for rec league, and then this weekend, we're gonna start with it being an exit and see how that happens. Because of the way the entrance is made, we're noticing that people are driving in off of Bluefield, even the signs that say exit. So, that might be a bit challenging.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised that people are going against the signage.
Me too.
Shocked, I tell you. Okay. Anything else? All right, thank you so much.
No, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely. Exciting. Okay, let's go to an agenda. We have two sets of, and Burke is not here because he decided the Masters was much more fun than coming to a work session,
Is
so.
he in Augusta?
He is in Augusta. He is, and he texted me this morning and said, I'm having to dump my phone off. You cannot contact me. I said, okay, have fun. Have a big time. So, two sets of minutes, which I believe he has signed off on.
Set up the insert one sheet into the March 9th.
Okay, and you'll be doing that, and we'll, okay. Consent for those two items? Okay. Oh, and mayor's comments. I'm going to make a comment right now. So for those of you who perhaps did not know and don't follow Twitter, which is now X, formerly known as Twitter, Mr. Smiley got an award from the Keep Mississippi Beautiful group for being #1 in recycling for, yes. So Alderman Beatty and I went down and got to watch him receive that award, and we're very proud. There were a whole lot of folks there, and that was a big deal. So anyway, congratulations. All right, public hearings. We've got a request to rezone the bus depot. Mr. McCaskey, you want to take that one since Daniel is?
Yes, all right, so this is over at 220 West Pleasant Street, so Starkville County School District is in the market to sell this property. I know that we've had discussions with individuals looking at potentially buying it, but essentially, since it's no longer going to be for special educational, which is what it is zoned for currently, it will need to be switched out of that zone. It meets the requirement for change of conditions by our ordinance, so regardless of who potentially buys it, it should not be special educational, because obviously the school district will not be maintaining it. So what is being recommended is that it be switched to the same zoning that is in the neighboring areas, which is TNE. So it would reflect just what is essentially in that neighborhood.
Right, and that it is irrespective of who decides to make the
Where is this
purchase.
building?
It's the old county bus depot.
Yes.
West
Off of
Gillespie. I'm
Gillespie.
still trying to.
Yeah, West Gillespie meant nothing to me either, so.
It's just before you get to Louisville, because when you get to Louisville, it changes to Scales. So it's Gillespie east of Louisville,
Okay.
by the railroad track.
There's an entrance, a little 20-foot wide gate right
Yeah.
before you get to the railroad track. If
You
you're
can see
going
buses
east on
are
it.
still sitting there, but there you go, Ham, look up the,
It's also got access off of McKinley Street. I
Yeah.
know where there's a gate up
And of
there.
course, this is
How
just
big
in
is
consideration of the rezoning, not
1.67
necessarily of
acres.
development.
I know that back.
yeah. It's a large piece, possibly.
There's a lot more buses in there now.
That was from Google Earth, so it could be 21,
Had complaints on
23.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
Well,
buses there.
the potential owner is interested in turning it in, making it a residence, so he's willing to do the
A
cleanup and
residence
everything.
or
A resident. He's willing to do the work, so, anyway, whatever it is, it should be residential, so.
And yes, and the planning and zoning board, they unanimously approved this request. Recommended.
Okay, all right, well, we'll be having a public hearing with following consideration, so thank you very much. Then we have consideration of this mutual termination of a memorandum of agreement between Mississippi Transportation Commission and the City of Starkville. And for those of you who are around way back when, this is that lagoon area that we sold to Dr. York, that he didn't have access for, and so now it is irrelevant. We don't need to have the memorandum of agreement in place. So he's getting access, I think, from La Quinta or somewhere, so anyway. But it is not necessary for it to be there, and we've been asked to rescind it, so. Okay, so consent for that one? Okay. And then we have the facade colors associated with 732 Whitfield. If you recall, we had the bright colors that were in stripes on the building and the bright pink awning or purple awning, and they are wanting to come back and say they want it to be all purple, which obviously this will not go on consent because I think there's probably going to be a difference of opinion from the board on that, but we have tried to put together enough information for the board to come up with some sort of decision at the time. Mr. McCaskey has provided just some colors that were part of the palette that were part of our downtown palette requirements, and so just to give you something to reference. And then he also has done, Joel, can you go to the, so there's how it was before, and there's how it is now. And then if you scroll down, Joel, to the next one, that's what they want to do. So just to give you something to think about, so.
That's called T-Mobile, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a
not the
lot
whole
bigger than
building,
the T-Mobile.
not the whole
Okay,
building.
I have to look at that every day now. Do not do that to me, please.
Main State.
Yeah. Anyway, so again, nothing, I think, no consent here today, but that gives you the context of what's in the packet, so, okay. All righty. Then we do have a final plat approval for Clark Grove. Anything about this one, Mr. McCaskey?
So this is continuing off of the first phase of Clark Road. This will be the second phase. You might also hear the word Canyon Green get thrown around at certain points. But essentially, it did get unanimously recommended for approval by P&Z with, I believe, 6 conditions from particularly engineering. And most of those are in relation to bonding of infrastructure when they establish control of it, things such as like the HOA and
Stormwater, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, but as far as establishing their homeowners association and the bylaws.
Bylaws,
So they have to
okay.
be reviewed by our city attorney before we.
Okay, all right, so, but those conditions are attached to this?
Yes.
So conceivably, it could be a consent item?
And this is pretty much like the previous one.
Okay, phase 1? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, engineering, Cody, you want to,
Sure. I'll get a quick overview of these
Okay.
slides. They hit again in both slides that I have.
The board has probably heard me talk about the SS4A grant over the past year or so. This is a federally funded project, and its goal is safety for your transportation network. So that's everybody. That's cars, bikes, pedestrians. The goal is to eliminate fatalities and injuries on any transportation network you have. So the grant will fund you to build projects that meet that goal. You can install road diets, sidewalks, transit shelters, things like that. But to get the funding to build projects, you have to have a safety action plan. We call this the action plan. So that's where we're at right now. We've been working on this 6 to 9 months to create this plan. It's a holistic plan. It looks at all your crash data, all of your safety. And based on last year, we thought that we had till September to apply for the project funding. We're going to move that up to May. So we're kind of on a time crunch. And so the long and short of this is if we don't have an action plan adopted by April 30th, we will miss the ability to apply for project funding this year and push us back a year. The problem with that is right now, we're only one of 2 communities that have the ability to ask for this in Mississippi, us and the Jackson MPO. We think by next year, there'll be a lot more chefs in the kitchen. You'll have Oxford and Tupelo and a lot of other people asking for this money. So our chance of award is pretty high. And they award big money, millions of dollars. So the reason I'm telling you this is the action plan currently that you're adopting, I'm asking you to adopt, is it meets all the requirements, it checks the boxes. The engineering department feels like the consultant needs to do a few more things for us that we don't feel like are in the plan, and they've agreed to do that. So I'll come back in the summer and we'll do a final version that has some of those things we've commented on. If we don't adopt it now, we lose the year. So that's why I'm asking the board to adopt the plan as is. It's in your packet. It's very large. And so if you have questions about it, you can call me or I can get back up Tuesday and answer any of those. But there's still some additions being made from our comments.
Yeah, it's the thick document in your packet, but Joel will also want to put that, make sure that's accessible, okay?
And it does need to be for some public input for 10 days to meet the requirements of the grant.
Right, so, okay, all right, but it is, timing is everything on this, or else we'd be doing it in September, but for, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
One of the things you'll notice is there's a project listing of recommended projects. The way the grant works is they will not pay for you to go build anything unless somebody has been killed or seriously injured. So if you have a high-risk street, I think North Montgomery is a good example that Alderman Beatty has brought up, where the street's too wide, people walking the street, unless somebody has died or been hurt in the past 5 years, they won't pay for the improvements. So any of the projects you see are based solely on the crash data. That's what highlights the map. So that's one of the areas I think is a shortcoming in the plan, and that's one of the areas I'm asking the consultant to work on over the next few months, is we want the risk factors. Even if the federal government will fund the project, I want my action plan to say, hey, based on these risk factors, this is still a project the city needs to work on. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, yeah, because there is going to be some tweaking that needs to be done on it, but I think, adopting it is certainly the appropriate thing to do, and from a timing standpoint, now is the time to do it, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Questions, anyone? Anyone? Consent for this one? Okay.
And so that rolls into the next item, which I'll briefly talk about. This is the ask for the project funding. So they give the consultant has given us a map of all the crash areas that's in the report. One area that has specifically shown up is actually a corridor of Highway 12. It's from Garrett and Highway 12, there by the overpass, and then back south to the flats that was previously called Haven 12, the big apartment complex. And so that 2,500-foot stretch was 3 of the top 10 worst crash areas in Starkville, based on the data. And so we plan to ask for a project that is along that corridor. It's too expensive for us to completely fund as a city, even just with a match, but I've got the MDOT safety grant that sometimes 100% working with us to potentially fund some of those items, and then we would ask for the rest of it. So the big ask right now potentially could be a high-speed roundabout at Erie and 12. There's one that's been designed almost identical to this in Benton County. I have a video of it if the board would like to see it, but what it does is it transitions you from coming off of a highway at 80 miles an hour to a city. And so those roundabouts will slow you from upwards of 70, 75 to 25 miles an hour, and they are designed for freight trucks. So we see it as a chance to make the intersection safer. It almost could be a wow factor as you come into the city. This is our entrance. Hey, you're not on a highway, now you're in a town, slow down. And it's been done successfully already, so we have a template of it.
Would that be Garrett Road? That'd be that roundabout would be Garrett Road.
That's correct.
What kind of time
So,
frame this?
well, the construction on
If it were rewarded.
People I'd like to show them the video. The construction for this one started in February of 23.
Benton County?
They'll finish in summer of this year.
What
this is
highways
the
are these?
This is 7 and 72. So this This is kind of an overview. If you take the circumference of this roundabout and lay it on Pyramid and 12, it's about the same. So this is a very good picture of what this would look like.
I've actually seen this on construction. US 72 and then 7 coming north headed in Tennessee, right almost on Tennessee State line.
They built this in about 18 months. So this, I just wanted to show the board this. Okay, you can stop at this point. It's a few minutes long, but this is what we're kind of thinking. And
That would be really cool. We could put something in that roundabout area and really have a welcoming,
That's right.
that'd be awesome.
Well, I think we all know that that corridor of 12 is slated for development. You have the 600-bed development of the lagoon that could happen, things as small as Waffle House, but this area will develop out, I expect, intensely the next 10 years. This is a great chance to catch the safety now before it develops. And I would hate to see a light put in here, which is the other option, because I don't think it looks as good. It certainly doesn't function as good. You can run a red light. You can't run a red light.
Oh, yes, you can.
So that's the thought. That's kind of the ask that we're looking at.
Well, I think that would be an awesome way for us to have an entry into Starkville.
I know you made NDOT aware, they've been involved in they know about the accidents taking place at Gary Road.
We've been
12
talking for
intersections.
months, but we are meeting with all of the associated divisions, hopefully next week, with the email about, this bill is rushed, right? It is rushed because they moved our deadline. But we're meeting with the district engineer and the safety team next week to look at all of the potential improvements and just make sure that we're good. I'm working on getting a not to exceed estimate for the board by Tuesday night, so there's still things in the works, but we're just trying not to miss that funding opportunity.
Do you know how long this was in the works and what the cost of this thing was?
So the cost of this, the NDOT estimate was $7 million. It bid for 7.8, but they also, instead of collector streets, these are two major highways. They also had to extend 1,500 feet in either direction. So we would expect this to be a lot more expensive. They got into the high mast lighting, all of those things. So
They put highlight mast lighting around this thing.
Yeah, they had to modify what they had in Avenue, so I would expect that number to be more than what it is.
US 72 is the main US highway between Corinth and Memphis, correct? That's that 4-lane highway from Birmingham across Corinth to Memphis, right? So that's major carrier corridor.
This is the first one, this has been done in Mississippi.
I was gonna say this
Control access
size,
4-lane
yeah.
highway, so number 2 is not the worst place to be.
That would be so fun.
And the accident statistics for 12 from in that 2,500 feet is what? Is that the highest accident area? What's the highest accident?
I think category 1 was at that intersection, I believe 8, no, excuse me, I'll have to look. I think 1 was Haven 12, 8 was the Market Street intersection, and 9 was here. They were all in the top 10 out of dozens of intersections.
Well, the good news is we haven't had anybody killed and we haven't had anybody seriously injured, but this is a way to keep that from happening. And anticipating our growth, this will be a part of how we keep that from happening, so.
And I would recommend leaving this off consent so we can try to get that cost estimate by Tuesday.
Sure.
The update the item and talk about it.
Sure, absolutely. And show that. I would love to show that again.
Sure.
Cool. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions before Cody moves? Okay, all right. Claims docket, we have financials. Anything about the financials, Ms. Harden? Nothing? We're all good? Consent for those?
They look really good right now because the property taxes have come in. That number will come down.
As we
over the rest
spend
of
what
the
we get,
year.
yeah, okay. All right, and under fire department, we have just some classes. We have 1, 2, and the other one is a joint agreement with 911 for CAD distribution system. Anything you want to talk about as it relates to that item, Chief?
No, that's a new system. We're actually getting a new system of 911 to update the way they dispatch us. So this is part of that system.
Okay, all right, so 3 items, consent for those? HR, we've got all of these, let's see, part-time firefighter, anything about those?
No, they are
Mr. Ashford, all replacement, okay, consent for those? Okay. And then under parks, permission to advertise for McKee Park Improvement Project. Anything anybody wants to add as it relates to that, consent for that? Okay. Let's see, we have a funding, 100% reimbursable grant funding under police, and then another one to sell as surplus. So any issues, consent for those? Okay. And then under utilities, and Mr. Kemp is up learning lots of stuff up in Tennessee, so we have, where is
Sabrina's there.
There you are. I'm sorry, Sabrina, you were hidden by Joel. Sabrina's here to answer any questions we have. This is the closeout of the Main Street project, or the sewer improvements. If you recall, we had some issues that we ran into, but that's to close that project out. Consent for that one? Okay. Transferring a vehicle from utilities electric to utilities water. Consent for that one. Grant agreement modification to municipality, county, and water infrastructure grant. This is to apply that additional $1 million from the county to the application, the grant application. So, and let's see, reject bids for the vehicle charging stations. Sabrina, they came in high, or you only got one bid? That's what it was?
There was 2 bids. One was extremely high. We're trying to rebid it to see if we can deduct the city's costs, and it was very high considering these bids. We're working with 7 states on that as well, so we feel rebidding it, seeing what the bids come in as, being more clear. We've had to change the scope and stuff like that. So.
Okay, all right, thank you. So, consent for that one? And then approving the memorandum of understanding between Oktibbeha County and the city outlining the responsibilities related to the STAG grant. This is the Bluefield Water Grant. We're going to be doing the majority of the work on that because it affects our water system, but Oktibbeha County, it's obviously something we had just gotten a grant, felt like if we worked with Oktibbeha County, we would have a better chance of getting the grant since they hadn't put in for one and it was a joint effort. So that's what this is about, and we're going to have to figure out how we do the administrative piece of that, but all of that is very doable. So consent for that one?
Consent.
Okay. All right, and that closes us out, guys. So busy weekend for parks, obviously. So everybody have a great time, and again, Oh, and we are Starkville. Starkville is the best small town in the South.